and welcome to the Intel Brief, your go-to daily update on global geopolitics. Today is Friday, 3rd January. I'm your host Daniel, the founder of HM Intelligence, and every weekday we cut through the noise to deliver not just the headlines, but why they matter. So let's get into it. In today's update, we'll be covering South Korean investigators have halted the arrest of Yoon. An oil spill from Russia's shadow fleet has reached the Crimean shores. And as the Russia-Ukrainian gas deal ends, worries are mounting in the EU's east. So firstly, South Korean investigators face significant resistance in their attempts to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol, resulting in a 6-hour standoff at his presidential residence. Despite obtaining an arrest warrant from a Seoul court, the investigators encountered heavy security, including over 200 Presidential Security Service personnel and military troops, forming a human chain to block their access. Although they managed to bypass initial barriers, the Presidential Security Service thwarted their progress and no weapons were drawn. The Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials ultimately called off the arrest due to safety concerns and has since designated the Presidential Security Service chief and his deputy as suspects for obstructing official duties. The warrant, which is linked to allegations of Yoon's attempted martial law declaration on December 3rd, remains valid until Monday. Yoon's lawyer has contested the legitimacy of the warrant, arguing it cannot be enforced at a residence due to laws protecting areas with potential military secrets. Meanwhile, hundreds of Yoon supporters have gathered at the residence, chanting and blocking access to investigators, with many camping out overnight in protest. Yoon has vowed to fight until the end, framing the situation as a battle to protect the nation. This crisis, stemming from Yoon's alleged rebellion and the subsequent impeachment, has deepened South Korea's political turmoil, potentially marking Yoon the first sitting president to be arrested in the country's history. Authorities are now deliberating on their next steps amidst ongoing protests and legal challenges. So what? This story just gets more and more wild. It seems likely that Yoon will eventually be arrested despite the blocking from his security detail. Additionally, it seems likely that numerous other people involved in his security detail and his political party may also face arrest due to their efforts to support him. Regardless, it is positive to see that the country's democracy can stand such a significant challenge. And next, an oil spill from 2 aging Russian tankers has reached the beaches of Crimea, sparking an environmental crisis. The vessel, which was carrying 9,200 tons of heavy fuel oil, was damaged in a storm, causing them to split and spill their load in the Black Sea. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called it an ecological disaster, and a massive cleanup operation involving over 10,000 people is currently underway to rescue wildlife and remove any contaminated sand. So far, 7,300 tons of sand has been cleared, but officials estimate that there could be up to 200,000 tons affected. Volunteers have also joined efforts to mitigate the spill's damage, which threatens the region's marine ecosystem. Ukraine has criticized Russia for relying on outdated shadow fleet of tankers, blaming the spill on Moscow's use of aging ships unsuited for severe weather conditions. Kiev claimed the vessels are a result of Western sanctions, which have pushed Russia to covertly transport oil, using ships with dubious ownership, fake insurance, and unsafe practices. Ukrainian officials warn that such accidents will continue due to poor condition of the fleet, highlighting the spill as the largest environmental disaster in the Black Sea since in the 21st century. So what? This is one of the biggest risks when it comes to countries using ghost fleets, as they are unable to undergo standard maintenance procedures or repairs as required. Despite the risks to the environment, it is almost certain that Russia and other sanctioned countries, such as North Korea and Venezuela, will continue the practice as it is essential for their economy. As such, it is likely there will continue to be incidents involving similar vessels, as previously stated, they lack the maintenance and safety procedures to survive harsh weather conditions. And lastly, the termination of the Ukraine-Russia gas transit agreement marks a significant shift in Europe's energy landscape. Despite 3 years of war, gas had flowed through Ukraine, but Gazprom has halted supplies on January 1st, after Ukraine refused to renew the contract. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called it a defeat for Moscow and urged the US to increase their LNG supplies to Europe, emphasizing the need to end European energy dependence on Russia. Historically, Russia dominated Europe's gas market, supplying up to 35% at its peak. However, by 2023, Russian pipeline gas through Ukraine accounted for less than 10% of all EU imports, with countries such as Austria and Hungary remaining reliant. The halt will cost Gazprom $5 billion annually and Ukraine $1 billion in transit fees, raising concerns for landlocked Eastern European nations heavily dependent on Russian gas. The EU, however, appears prepared for the disruption, having diversified energy sources and reduced gas consumption by 18% since 2022. LNG from the US and other suppliers has reduced reliance on Russian imports, which dropped to 15% of EU gas consumption by 2023. While Western European countries remain confident, Eastern European faces challenges. Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, seeks a creative solution to maintain gas flows, while Slovakia has threatened countermeasures against Ukraine, exposing regional tensions. Despite these pressures, the EU Commission projects minimal impact on the gas prices and asserts it is well prepared to handle the transition, underscoring a broader effort to minimize Russian influence in Europe's energy market. So what? This seems like a logical move despite the protests from Hungary and Slovakia. Regardless, both countries will likely be able to maintain gas supplies from other sources. Additionally, though this will likely hurt Russian finances, the impact will be minimal, as they are still able to sell gas in other markets such as India and China. But it is possible that Russia could suffer a death by 1,000 cuts, as the saying goes. Thank you for tuning in to the Intel Brief, your daily update on global geopolitics, brought to you by HM Intelligence. Support the show by sharing it with your friends and leaving us a 5-star review. If you're curious to learn more about intelligence, check out our affordable, self-paced online courses through the link in the description below. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you next time.